why do you think, though, it is exploding, at least into the consciousness of people? I would say the same thing as you. We don't have enough data. I wholeheartedly agree. But we are more aware. Social media has made it aware. We have the rise of the celebrity pastor. Everything is at our fingertips, and people say, oh, it's getting worse and worse and worse. I think we're just aware of it now, whereas we didn't before. But what are some of the factors that you see that cause the rise of this phenomenon at this moment in time?
Yeah, it's hard to know why we're seeing it more. I mean, you mentioned social media. Certainly that is obviously a factor, although it's hard to know whether it's just exposing something that was already there, or whether it's in some sense playing a role in its cause. I think it's probably a mix. I think one of the factors that needs more attention, and I cover this a little bit in the book, is I think this sort of problem often stems from the cultural conditions that are around the church right now. I think the church is feeling very pressed on, very feel a lot of hostility from our culture. It seems like where the culture is slipping away, our power in the culture is slipping away. Mm-hmm. And people are very concerned to make sure they defend and uphold and sort of rally the church to defend its status in both culture and in the lives of people. And I think whenever the church is in a state like that, people tend to get defensive, and they tend to try to press their authority more strongly, and they try to sort of prove the value of that in ways they may not otherwise have done in different cultural contexts. So I do think the cultural moment we're in is causing that. And I think that's unfortunate. I mean, I think as leaders, the defensive posture where we're trying to sort of defend who we are as pastors, defend the authority of the church in a hostile world, I get it. I feel it too. But we can't abandon Christian principles and Christian conduct as a result. And I think that's part of what's been happening.
Do you think, though, the reason that so many places and people are reluctant to talk about it or address the subject because they are afraid of exposure and the lack of credibility for the Christian message in the public arena?
Oh, that's tied in exactly with what I just said. If you feel like you're in a hostile culture and the church is losing ground, the last thing you want to do is allow any critiques of the church. And critiques of the church look like you're on the wrong team. And stop pointing out the church's problems. We're in a crisis here. Let's all be pro-church, not anti-church. Now, of course, I address this in the book because I think the idea of calling out abuse as anti-church is totally a misread of what's going on. Calling out abuse in the church is pro-church, it's pro-Jesus, it's pro-Bible, it's pro defending the sheep God has asked us to defend, and it's done and should be done out of love for the church. So the idea that somehow calling out the church's problems is somehow unbecoming of a believer, I think we need to reevaluate that. Now, of course, you don't want your perpetual cynic who does nothing but critique all the time. And there's people out there that do that. And no one's saying that's the goal. But the idea that we should just, pull the shades down and pull the rug over things because we don't want to look any worse in the eyes of the world is self-defeating, because it always comes out. And when the scandals come out, we just look even worse because we covered them up.